In this video, we're going to take a look at this Zinc Electroplating Kit, which is provided by Zinc Kits. Now the company Zinc Kits that provided this kit, I purchased this kit myself. So this is the kit which will make up a 4 litre zinc plating bath. So it's the cheapest kit that they have available, and it cost around about the $300 mark. That's Australian dollars. So this company, they're in around Newcastle, New South Wales. So anyone that's in Australia and possibly New Zealand, it would be cost effective to buy their kit. But let's just take a look at what it comes with. So included in the kit was the power supply. Now this one has a adjustable current to adjust the amount of current measured in amps. So depending on the size of the job you're plating, you need to adjust the current according to the surface area of the job that you're plating. So that power supply came with it, which is pretty good. I have noticed these for sale for like $150 on their own. So it is cost effective to get the whole kit together. Okay, so the chemicals that it comes with, I'll start with, I'll just go straight to the actual zinc bath. So obviously you've got the electrodes, so these aluminium rods are provided. So 2 of them will hang these zinc anodes on. So the anodes hang off that. They provide some, I'm assuming that's zinc wire as well, to hang up these anodes. And then obviously the center aluminium rod is where you'd hang your job from. And they provide some copper wire for you to hang up your job. The other things that are included, this lead is just to connect the 2 outer rods which will have the anodes hooked onto it. Okay, so that's that part. Now the chemicals that are provided are this 4 litre zinc mix. I'm just trying to think what that would actually be, zinc sulfate powder, something like that, but it's their own recipe. It doesn't say actually what's in there. Because they mix it and they make their money by selling a proven formula. So the kit should be pretty easy to use, and it's based on like how they've provided all the chemicals, and everything's measured in the exact quantities and so forth. Okay, so that's the actual plating side of it. The finishing is actually these chemicals here, they get added to the zinc bath too. So this is zinc additive, and there's also a zinc brightener. So these chemicals go into the bath with that mix, and then you fill up the container up to the 4 litre mark with distilled water. Alright, so here's some samples here. So this actual finish on here, the yellow chromate finish, and again on here, that's what I want to replicate on some parts I'm restoring. So clearly like this side is what is visible, and then that is the effect I want to have on the parts. So that's another piece here. So that's the yellow chromate finish. So they provide you with this passivating dip. So the passivating process to get that yellow chromate finish, this gets added into water. So you dip your parts into this pre-passivating dip bath, then it goes into another bath which contains the gold bright or yellow chromate. They also provide a blue one as well, but I'll be using the yellow one for now. The other thing that's provided is this clear lacquer finish. I'm assuming that's just clear coat paint, but I'm not exactly sure. Alright, now there's some additional equipment which you can purchase. It was recommended. So these don't come in the kit. So that's a rust and scale remover. So that's what you'd wash your part in first, and then this parts wash is what you dip your parts into before you start the electroplating process. So these didn't come with the kit. They cost extra. It wasn't that much, maybe around $30 I think. And the other product as well I've purchased, it's probably not needed for like a 4 litre bath, but this is a water pump. So it has an impeller on it. So it's not an air pump, it just pumps water, and it's designed to just circulate the fluid in the bath. So probably on a 4-litre kit you may not need it, but I'd purchase it anyway in case I do upgrade to a larger bath if I think I need to. And also just with the power supply, this power supply I do believe is the same power supply that comes with the 10-litre bath as well. So there's options I can expand on this kit if I need to. Okay, so let's start by getting it set up. Okay, we're going to start preparing some of the cleaning and washing baths, and I just want to explain something before we go on. So the kit comes with this nice manual, and it actually explains how to set everything up correctly. There's even diagrams in there that explain how to set things up. And what I've actually done, like I've read this a few times, and just to make things a bit easier for me, what I've found it easy to do is definitely label all my containers. Now, the containers don't come with the kit. These are what you need to buy separately, but these sort of containers you can pick up anywhere. And yeah, I labelled them all, printed out labels, stuck it over with tape, because that way the lids stay with the right containers and I know the exact order, and also I've got like a little description of the steps in there, what to actually do at each process, just to help me remember. Alright, so we'll get started. So the first one, most of the processes have like a dip and then a rinse, so I'll just leave the rinse container because that's only going to have distilled water in there. What I've done first is just rinsed everything with distilled water, so I'll just move this one to the side because I don't need that just yet. So the first one we're going to do is the rust and scale cleaner. Now this product, as I mentioned before, the rust and scale and the parts wash don't actually come with the kit. You purchase these separately, but they're not that much more expensive, but they do recommend that you do use these. Now I'm actually only going to use half of this bottle. So this is a 500ml bottle. Oh, I just remembered, I just need to mention another thing too. The kit actually comes with nitrile gloves, but doing stuff on cars all the time, I've got heaps of these. So, but what I'll probably is just keep the pair I've got at the moment, keep them just for using this kit. But I've got enough of those. But it's good that they do include them, because there'll be some people that don't have any, and it's good to have them in the kit to get started. Alright, so this is the rust and scale remover, but I'm only going to add 500, it comes in a 500 bottle, but I'm only going to add half of that, so 250 mils. And this gets mixed at a ratio of 1 part of rust and scale remover to 5 parts water. Okay, so that's our first step ready. Okay, I'll just leave that to the side and then we'll get started on the parts wash container. Okay, so with the parts wash, again it's going to be a similar deal where we're going to mix at a ratio of 1 to 5. So with this parts wash, it's important that anything that goes into the bath goes through this parts wash, and that includes even the zinc anodes, even the little water pump agitator I've got as well. Everything that goes into that tank needs to get cleaned in this kit, the parts wash, before it goes into the bath. Alright, so the first step will be to measure out. We need to measure out half of this again, so that's a 500ml bottle, so we only need to use 250 mils. Okay, so that's our parts wash bath, and I'll just put this one to the side for now. Just with the parts wash process, they actually recommend that you have 2 separate rinsing baths. So I'll clean up these containers with some distilled water. Alright, so the next stage now is to prepare our actual electroplating bath. So I've rinsed the container out with some distilled water. Alright, so the way you need to mix this up is that you need to create a 4 litre bath. The good thing about these containers, they do have measurements on the side. Alright, so the way it needs to work, you need to add half the amount. So if it's a 4 litre bath, I'm just going to add 2 litres of water at first. Alright, okay, so now that we've got 2 litres in there, what we need to do is add in our zinc mix. And it's important that you actually use up the whole packet. They do specify in the instructions that this is a chemical which is made up of multiple chemicals. So if you were to just only add half of that, you may not be putting the right ratios in there. Okay, so the next thing that to be added is this additive. So they call it KL zinc additive, and what you actually need to do is add the entire bottle, because they supply this for a 4 litre kit. So each, depending on what kit you buy, you'll get a different size bottle, but the whole amount of that needs to be added to the mix. Okay, so the final thing that goes into this bath is what they call a zinc brightener. So they call it TMA zinc brightener. Do not add the entire bottle. You only need to add 1 ml per litre. So in this case here, I'm going to be adding 4 mils. And the way I'm going to measure that out, I've actually just purchased a syringe, an oral syringe from the chemist. So let's give this another mix. So we are just about there. So I just need to give it a bit more of a mix, and then we're going to top it up to the 4 litre mark. Okay, so now that the bath has been set or completely mixed up, the next step of the process, we need to mix up this activator. So this is the activator in which the metal will be dipped into before it gets passivated. So so once the metal has been zinc coated, it gets dipped into here. So in order to mix up the material for this, so they provide us with this passivating dip. In the manual it suggests that this only has a shelf life of 6 months once it's mixed up, but as a dry powder it can last for a while. So they provide you with enough in here, so it says mix 20 grams per litre, but we don't necessarily need to use up the entire amount. Okay, so the kit comes with 2 of these passivating colours. So we've got bright gold and blue dip. So at the moment I'm only going to mix up this one. So obviously you'd have a separate container for each one, and I can do that one at a later stage just to try it out and see how it looks, but we'll leave that to the side. Now the ratio you need to mix this up is 15 mils for every 1 litre of water. So I'm going to make up this, this bath will be about 4 litres. So you need to mix this up in a ratio. So it's 15 mils plus 985 mils of distilled water to make the total up to a litre. So some of the chemicals you just add per litre, some of them you've got to put less per litre, if you understand what I mean, because of the ratios. Okay, so I'll just give you an overview of how I've got all these containers set up. So that's one of the parts. We might just go ahead and try and clean this one up. One of the things with this rust and scale remover, they do say that it can actually remove some of the old zinc coating. So that I reckon I could clean up a bit more, take down to bare metal. Or maybe the results would be better, but we're just going to give it a try anyway, because worst case scenario we've got to sand it anyway and try it that way, but we'll just see how we go. So it is actually, that part is cleaned down, there's no grease and stuff on it, but we need to, it'll first get put in the rust and scale, scrubbed over with a nylon brush, and then we'll put it into the rinse container. So this is just distilled water, so it'll get rinsed in there. Then it goes over to the parts wash. So when it's in the parts wash, it'll be dipped, scrubbed again, and then goes into the rinse bath 1. Then you repeat this process, put it back in here, wash it again, rinse it in this rinse bath, and then dip it into this rinse bath here. And then it's at this stage, it's ready to go to the electroplating tank. And what I've done, just to bring up the temperature, because you need to make sure the temperature is between 20 and 30 degrees Celsius, or 25 to 30 degrees probably better. So that's just got some very hot water in there, just warming it up to try and bring it up to temperature. At the moment the temperature was 17 degrees Celsius, so it's got a little bit of heating to go. Alright, and then, so that's the electroplating tank. I will have that set up shortly, so these rods go on top. When I get up to this stage, you'll see how it's set up. These are the zinc anodes. One of these goes on each side, and then on the centre rod, that's where we're going to hang up the job. Okay, and then, so once the job has gone into the electroplated, so it should come out nice, bright, shiny with the zinc coat. It then gets dipped into this first bath just to rinse off any of the electrolyte. Then we start the chromate passivating step procedure. So then it gets dipped into this METEX IT activator. Then it goes into a rinse bath with just distilled water. Then it gets dipped into the passivating solution. So dipped in, waved about for about 30 seconds. Then take it out, shake off any excess, and then just let it drip dry over here. At this point here, I'll probably spray it down with distilled water. So these are going to be useful. It's just a trigger bottle filled with distilled water, because there will be points where when you're actually rinsing it, you want to lift it out and then still give it a bit of a spray. Alright, so I think we're ready to get started. Okay, so now we need to set up bath. Now the rule is that anything you put into here needs to go through that same parts wash process. So that includes even the water agitator. So what I did with this, I did some tests in water, and I find that it's better. Don't stick it that way, because it just squirts up high like a fountain. But put it on its side and then just stick it to the side of the tank, because then water flows through out that way and it doesn't make such a mess. And this works well even for a 4 litre size tank. We'll just double check that temperature and just see where we are at. This is a glass thermometer, so don't use one which obviously has metal parts to it. But it looks like the temperature is about 27 degrees, which is spot on perfect. Okay, so those anodes have been washed and put in there. The next thing we need to do is we'll hang the part on first, and then we'll have a play with the power. I'll just give you a close-up look of the bath. If I didn't mention already, because this is the second time I've connected it up, I've got it just sitting in this tray. I added boiling water into here just to get the temperature of the bath up. So that, sitting in another tray of hot water is the best way to get the temperature up. And the temperature in this bath at the moment is about 27 degrees Celsius. So if you have a look at the part, seems to be working. Like there's not a huge amount of bubbles, but then I don't think there's meant to be. So that you can see some bubbles there, but it doesn't seem to be like an overall bright shiny finish yet. So we'll just keep it going for a bit longer. Okay, so I've just lifted that part out, and then I'm just rinsing it off now. The next step, it's got to go into the activator. Alright, so I need to dip the parts in this activator for about 30 seconds. Move it around. The next container is just a rinse. Okay, I'll lift it out of there. Rinse that off. Now in the passivating agent, it only needs to go in here for about 5 to 30 seconds. Alright, I just want to show you how some of these parts are looking. So that's not too bad, that one, how that's turned out. And then this piece here, I'm quite impressed with how that's actually turned out. So you'll see in another video me actually putting this wiper together. I'm not sure which order I'm going to put these in, but these are for a windscreen wiper motor for a Mini. Okay, I just wanted to make a little short video about this PowerTech Plus power supply. The model number is MP-3842. Now the issue with my one, when I got it out of the box, I would turn it on and then choose any of these values down the bottom, and then when I turned it on, to power it up, you press this button in there where it says on. I would connect it up to the circuit and nothing at all happened. So the way I needed to fix that, and I'll show you what to do. So in this case here, it's probably going to actually work straight away, because I've just been using it on another project. So that should just turn on straight away. Okay, now if for whatever reason your power supply does not work, what you need to do is turn it off, then choose any of these presets, that one will be fine. Press and hold it until it starts flashing. Now when it starts flashing, you can adjust the voltage, or the maximum voltage and maximum current. So if you put them both down to 0, what you want to do is turn the voltage, put that up to maybe, let's just try 5 volts. So the maximum voltage will be 5 volts, and then maximum current is still at 0. It doesn't have to be exact, that'll do. So press that to save it. Now when I turn it on, you'll notice that this red light comes on now. And that red light means that I've now got control to adjust the constant current rather than the voltage. So now if I adjust this, I'm increasing the current. I've got control over how much current I want. So if you're doing something like electroplating, that is the mode that you want it to be in, because you don't care about the voltage, it's the current that's important. Okay, so hopefully that explains a little bit more of it, because I had some issues, I just couldn't figure out why it wasn't working, but that kind of resets it, so turning them down to 0, then turn it back on again. Alright, I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching my video.